Welcome all to another episode of Tech Leaders Unplugged. I'm Wade Erickson, and my guest today is Francesca Gargaglia. She is the co-founder and CEO of Amity. And today our topic is decoding app engagement and monetization, making money. We all like to talk about that. So welcome, Francesca. Lovely to have you here, sharing your insights and your company's background and what you guys are doing over there. And yeah, real quick, just introduce yourself, a little bit about Amity, and then we'll jump into the topic.
Sure. Hi, everybody, and thank you for having me. I'm very excited about being here. So, as you said, I'm co-founder and co-CEO of Amity. Amity is a tech company, and we enable brands to increase engagement and revenue and retention on their own apps by adding pre-built social features and unlocking AI insights. So this is pretty much very quick description of our product.
Great. And a little bit about you. Of course, I for an American, I hear a bit of an accent. Tell me a little bit about the world travel you are with the different locations. It's interesting to have European guests on the show.
Sure. I'm very it's almost impossible to hide my accent, notwithstanding I've been living abroad for many years now, but I am obviously from Italy. So I come from an Italian town called Perugia, in the center of Italy, and I've been living in many countries over the last 10, 15 years. So I guess my journey started in university because I studied in Milan, but I had the opportunity to intern and in general like experience various short-term international travel and working and living in other countries, and this really it just clicked with me. I think I started to make traveling and exploring different cultures a very big part of my life, and this is also reflected in Amity, the company that I built with my co-founders. We are a very international team. My two co-founders are Thai, I am Italian, and the company has 5 global offices. So we are spread, really across the globe. We have our R&D is based in Bangkok, and we have offices in London, Milan, San Francisco. We are opening up in Sao Paulo. So we are very, global and multicultural team.
Great. All right, well, let's jump into the topic: decoding app engagement and monetization. I as I looked at the site, I think, given your background, you have a strong feeling for community sites, social engagement sites, and those kind of things. And often they struggle to get funding through various means, and your application is really an assistance to them. So let's jump into the topic and tell us a little bit about how you approach the market with your product offering and some of the things that, based on your background, that maybe caused you to be interested in this.
Sure. I mean, I've always been very passionate about communities and digital communities in particular. I think that communities are, an essential element of our society, and, having the internet really magnified the positive impact that communities can have in the life of anyone. They really, allow us to connect with people that share our same interests and have, experience a sense of belonging. In many cases, also, this translates into having many positive impact on our longevity, on our well-being. So this is something that, myself, I'm passionate about. But what I started to notice that is probably also one of the thinking that then eventually led to Amity and to build this product, is the fact that social media monopolize online communities. So in 99% of the cases, as users, when we want to engage with people that share our same interests, or we want to find information concerning a brand or an organization that we are part of, we will do so in social media platforms. So it can be Facebook, LinkedIn, Reddit. There are multiples out there, but the experience that we have on these platforms is not necessarily the best. and this both from a user's perspective and from the brand perspective. Why I'm saying so is because obviously the interest of social media, the way they monetize, is just increasing engagement, right? And really keeping people very, very stuck to the screens, but they don't necessarily have an interest on monitoring the quality of the contents or the interaction that users have, right? And this very often, means that users have very fragmented experience. So imagine that you want to join, the group. Facebook group around one of your favorite organizations, but you don't really know who is moderating it, who is owning it, if all the people that should be in there have actually been invited. So in general, as user, I started to be very frustrated with my experience on, online communities powered by social media being very low quality. So there is a lot of spam, there are, a lot of haters, very often there is misinformation. And I started to notice that this same frustration is very often shared by the brands. So, the brands, the organizations, they don't feel that they are really controlling the quality of the experience that they are giving to their users and their communities, right? And this comes also with a lot of consequences and potential negative implications for the brand. So this was the starting point of really starting to think, hey, there might be a better model for online communities, and we might actually try to provide a safer, a more curated, a more meaningful alternative. And this is kind of really the mission that we have at Amity. We say that our mission is to power, to create positive digital communities and experiences. And this is something that we do by enabling anyone, companies, organizations, even individuals potentially, to launch very easily their curated and safe digital communities by giving them the technology to do so. So what we do at Amity is that we provide all the very sophisticated features that usually you need for a community to be launched and also to be engaging for the users. So think all the features that you can find in very famous social media, from the ability for users to chat, to have a profile, to join discussion forums, all the way to more engaging video formats, for example live streaming or video stories. So the same set of capabilities that allow you to define an app, a social app or a community app. This is something that Amity provides to anyone on a plug and play format. So we provide these capabilities 95% ready. So it's a set of SDKs and APIs in technical languages. So we are providing the backend. This comes also with access to UI kits that can be used to very easily integrate these capabilities into the customer app, which translate into the possibility to launch a fully functioning digital community in a fraction of the time that it would take to code this from scratch, right? So we are really making this kind of technology accessible to anyone. You don't need to have a huge budget, you don't need to have a huge development team, you don't need to have unlimited resources to actually access this type of technology. So it's a very, very innovative angle that we are trying to pursue by also allowing brands to drive, to bring some of the engagement that currently, they have on social media back to their own apps and digital platforms, right? Just by integrating our technology. So I think that another very important angle for me and for our customers is that every time that, engagement happens on a third-party social media platform, of course, this platform owns the data. So there is very little control over how these data are managed and, how they are used, right? Because they also, of course, they generate advertising. There are a lot of interest involved. So for our customers, a very important piece, of importance of what Amity provides is for them to actually be able to bring this engagement and this data back into safety and into their own platforms. So this makes the product also very appealing and very applicable for organizations that, are very, very concerned about the privacy of their members and or the confidentiality of the conversations that happen on the platform, right? So imagine anything from community attached to big hospital groups or insurances, or organization like the World Economic Forum, or not-for-profit organization that are working on human rights or on health issues. So this it makes also Amity a perfect solution for them, because it serves the two purposes of boosting engagement and really allowing you to power your white label social network, but at the same time also allowing you to keep the data protected, right? So this is, I would say, the main angle. Of course, every time that the brand or the organization has access to this data, and has the ability to really get to know their customer in a way that was not necessarily available before, right? So this applies to customers, applies to members, and this makes them able to also improve substantially the quality of the service or the relationship that they provide to their members, right? So they can be very proactive in understanding users' pain points. They can be very proactive in understanding potential directions for product development. So we want our community to become, our Amity Power community to become for our customer really a sounding board, and to inspire all their business decision making, just looking at data-driven strategies to actually enact the input that they get from the community. So this is something that we make very, very easy for them via AI. So we have technology that we call Social Insight, that allows customers to see real-time, very important piece of engagement data, and also social insights, so inputs on how this data can be translated into actual business value by improving the quality of the relationship with the users and the community members. And this naturally leads also in for-profit businesses, sometimes in a lot of new ways to potentially monetize, right, and to unlock new revenues, because you can know very early, for example, what new product would be interesting for your community to get access to. You can survey immediately your community. You can get very quick feedback on, for example, potential product directions. So of course, when you strengthen the relationship with your users and you invest in this relationship, this translates into incredible brand value. So we see, every time that the Amity technology is added to any app, no matter, who is the brand or the organization owning that app, it translates into increased engagement, into increased retention, stickiness, and ultimately always to increased revenues. So this is a bit, my approach, Amity's approach to the topic, and how we are, going when we think of app engagement and monetization. So using social features to really make an app super relevant for the users and super exciting for them to actually spend time on, because you can add value. The experience is curated, is positive, is protected somehow, and this, on the other end, translate, what is a very, very high quality user experience for us, translate into the ability to unlock so much growth potential for the brands, right?
So a lot to unpack there. So I kind of envision this journey, if I was to be a consumer of your services and products, that maybe I started out with a blog, and then that went to a website, but that's largely just textual and video. And then if I wanted to build community, I'd have to go and maybe open a Facebook page or something like that. And that's the pivot into their monetization process, right? Where now Facebook is really benefiting from my community, whereas you guys now have said, I'm jumping in there. You now don't have to go and use a social platform. You can keep the people in your space, but yet add all those nice features of chatting and posting and all the kinds of features we like social media, but keep it within the context of your community. And then that monetization piece, whether it's outside vendors that might sell materials that are relevant. Let's say it's a gardening community or something. So then now you could sell, fertilizers or whatever, through that. And then a piece of that would then benefit the community's funding and stuff. So I don't know if I've seen any other folks doing this. Are you pretty unique in the space in this, where
So we
you
are.
kind of can pivot people off of the social media and kind of manage that into their own autonomous world?
So I think what makes Amity very unique, I mean, we are definitely not the first, the first company out there that allows people to, to have white label social media features.
Mhm.
So the different and what makes Amity very unique is that the other companies out there usually approach this as giving, a standalone community app that can be very easily, customized to some extent by the user, but is a product that is very static, right? Because it's a pre-built, ready to use software that the client will have to adapt to. So
Mhm.
Amity comes from a different standpoint. Amity sells, pre-built social and community capabilities that have to be plugged to an existing app or website. So this is like the equivalent of selling, building blocks. Like really,
Mhm.
I like to use the example of Lego pieces, right? So this means that we are selling infrastructure that allows the customer to very easily build a social network that is 100% owned by them. So
Mhm.
it's not a SaaS, technically is an infrastructure as a service company because we're really selling a piece of code, right? So this has a lot of benefits. The first is the absolute flexibility and customization, because two communities that are built, using Amity feature set very, very hardly look the same, where it's possible to spot that these, pieces are provided by a third party, but also, again, Amity doesn't own it. It's just a vendor supplying pieces of it, right? And
Mhm.
enabling experience, but the customer owns it and owns all the related data. So in this sense, I would say Amity is very unique, and there's also the reason why this product is also appealing, to big enterprises, because big enterprises very often have already apps, and they already
Mhm.
invested probably millions of dollars in bringing, in building these apps, and of course they are not very, attracted by the idea of, using another community platform and introducing a new platform in their ecosystem that they're already struggling to manage. So where Amity's come in is actually enabling to, add social media features into their own, existing app, and this of course make the process more, smoother for them.
And you get to maintain all your own branding and all of
Correct.
that flexibility. So yeah, that's very important when you have made investments to really kind of create your appearance and look and feel. And I've definitely seen those social community apps that were very self-contained, and they were basically just website platforms that have the features, and you, other than iframing them in, it was, you know, like you said, a lot of extra effort just to add those features versus you're far
Mhm.
more granular in its introduction, and you can, take pieces of it, like you said, video,
Excellent.
separate with chat. Now, and I think about, where things are going with, conversational chat and all those kinds of things. This is just a much more rich interactive experience than just putting in a chatbot or something like that. So this is a much more rich interaction with the potential community that whether it's a support community of your own company, right, or a
Correct.
social community, yeah, it has multiple flavors. Very, very intriguing. So as AI is coming here and it's building, everybody thinks you'll be able to prompt your way into websites and have the filter, right? And I think we're still a long ways away from that. Um, Having these kind of pluggable technologies, I think you guys are very well prepared for that because it'll build out the core site if we ever get to that. But then you can build in. Now, does it work with native like iOS and
Yes.
Android as well? Oh, wow. So you can do web and native
Yeah,
apps. That's
we
very
have native SDKs for, multiple platforms and coding languages. So we
that's
support
very powerful. Then,
8
yeah. So
at the moment.
so tell me a little bit about the vendors. So let's talk about the monetization piece and the stores. Um, I think some folks would kind of say, "Hey, is this like a tying into Amazon, or is there other more curated vendors that have specific product lines, or maybe even have some social ties to being more eco-friendly?" Tell me a little bit about how you pull together vendors that have stuff to sell, that then is shared with the community's platform owners.
Absolutely. I think we have, multiple models, multiple go-to-market models. A huge chunk of our sales are still, direct sales. So the number one, channel of lead generation for Amity is still inbound, because as you said, being a relatively new product with not many competitor out there, at least that we are aware of, it's relatively easy to find us if you are already looking for something similar, right? So we have, a lot of attention into taking care, nurturing these leads and converting them into happy customers, and we have a good success rate in doing so. But of course, we also do work with partners and vendors to make sure that we accelerate. In general, the growth that we have, particularly in new markets, right? So we do it in a multi of models. So the more standard one, we are part of a few marketplaces. So we collaborate, for example, with one of our main partners is AWS. So Amity is a product on the AWS marketplace. We have a similar setup with other marketplaces around the world. For example, Nacho Nacho in the US is a good partner of Amity. So there is the possibility for customers to actually find out about Amity via a different platform. AWS is also, our cloud provider, so we have a very, very deep partnership with them, and they are very instrumental for us in reaching, certain accounts. We do have more basic referral partners, and these are companies mostly, so are vendors that offer to their customer solutions that are very complementary to ours. So, for example, they offer different type of SDKs and APIs. So, subscription APIs, payment APIs. So it's the same type of target users. They are also selling into apps. They are also helping, the apps owners to enhance the experience in their application. So for this reason, we always create this win-win, kind of strategy where we can, refer customers to each other and create, this high quality collaboration. And the last, model, which we are developing more and more right now, is actually the model where we provide our capabilities either in a white label way or not, but they go and integrate in a bigger vendor ecosystem. So for example, as you said, we are evaluating, having a native integration with Shopify. We are, in discussion with a series of app building, low code or no code app and website building platforms where we want to be able to provide these capabilities, right? So it's really horizontal. It's also very much related to the fact that our product is industry agnostic. So as long as you have an app, right, we can add value no matter which type of industry you are working with. So that is reflected in our vendors acquisition strategy.
Great. So we're already getting near to the end of the show. This is where I like to pivot, though, and talk about a little bit about your personal journey through your career. And wow, reading your experience, I was very impressed with how you have a legal background. So I saw you have a legal lawyer kind of background, and you worked with a lot of NGOs and United Nations and all these different countries, and just kind of a Renaissance person. And then you wind up starting a software company, and so there's got to be a great story behind how you pivoted to that, and having a business that's in multiple continents in the world kind of helps to keep that traveling going, I'm sure. But tell me a little bit about how you went from school to kind of government liaison work in different countries, and then came to start Amity.
Absolutely, with pleasure. I mean, as you correctly said, I have a legal background. I went to law school. I studied international law, and I always wanted to try as many things as possible during my college years and university years to make sure that I would made an informed choice about my future career. So I was immediately attracted from the human rights and NGO worlds. So I had the honor and the pleasure to experience working with NGOs in Brazil, in Indonesia, and I have to say it's an experience that I really loved. But I very soon realized that I couldn't imagine myself pursuing this career in the long term for a series of reasons, but mostly because these organizations are very often massive, and by the time there is a lot of bureaucracy, everything is very process driven, and I felt that I could probably contribute more to some of the topics that I'm really passionate about, coming actually for a for-profit angle and coming actually from a CSR and really foundation, probably corporate foundation angle, which is what led me to actually try the business side of things and made my first experience in the corporate world. And I wanted to keep a very open mind and try to experience as much as possible, which led me to start in consulting. So I joined PwC, and I started in their legal consulting division at first, and then migrated into pure consulting. And inside the company, I mean, it's such a big organization, so they gave me the opportunity to really try different things, and also ask myself the question, what do I want to do? And the response was immediately, okay, I want to try travel as much as possible and experience different work environments. So they offered me the opportunity to move to Africa, which was amazing, but I was only 23 years old at the time, so it was also a big challenge for me. And that's how I landed in Johannesburg, and I was supposed to be there on a 6 months assignment. I ended up staying over 2 years, and they put me in charge of this amazing project that was called European Desk. So we were building there a consulting like assistance desk for European companies of any size that wanted to expand and try to enter the Africa market. So this for me was incredible, because I got when I was very young, I got to work firsthand with so many entrepreneurs that wanted to build something, or they wanted to expand their business. And this inspired me so much, because I saw that incredible passion and love for the product, and really also the ability to get their hands dirty and have a medium to long term vision. And what I was not enjoying about the big corporate world and the consulting in particular is that you constantly work on different projects and accounts, so you are never assigned to an account long enough to really see how certain strategies are going to evolve or affect the plans of the business. So I made the decision. I mean, I knew that I wanted to try something different, and the possibility was presented to me by meeting Corawed, that is my co-founder. And this is a very random story that leads then to a LinkedIn email, LinkedIn messages exchange. But things follow things, and after 6 months from our first conversation, I was just boarding a flight to Thailand, and I was accepting to join his very early stage business and try to grow it with him. So that wasn't Amity, to be honest. It was another startup that Corawad started before Amity, that I joined as a head of strategy, and then a few years later we kind of had the idea for launching a new product together, and that the rest is what we discussed today.
Great. Well, that's exciting. So you and that's important, I think, to young people to do, is constantly question, am I where I want to be? Right.
Yeah.
And it's okay to change. It's okay to pivot, because you experienced all kinds of different locations all over the world, different cultures, and people can still do that in their local communities. Of course, it's more exciting to do it like you did. But yeah, you found the passion and love for owning your own business, and the excitement of that, and of course all your international experience, I'm sure, played a great role in that. Well, we're kind of end at time. I wanted to announce next week's show before we wrap. And so next week is Andrew Knight, Principal Architect at Cycle Labs, Wednesday the 12th. And Cycle Labs is a comprehensive test automation platform, which of course is very close to what Logigear does, having our history in testing as well. So it'll be an interesting conversation with him, and how he sees the world of software testing going in the future. So join us next Wednesday, the 12th, for that interesting conversation. So Francesca, again, wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed understanding, appreciating your approach to the market. I think it's a very, very valuable component, especially to those that built sites to largely engage with a sector of our community. And then you just fast tracked it to be a much more rich, interactive offering without forcing people to leave their own sites. Yeah, I'm excited. There's probably some places that I can recommend what you guys are doing to expand other people's sites that are largely just informational websites and stuff like that. So
thank you very much.
All right. Well, everybody else, until next week, have a good week.